So modesty, it's not a fashionable word exactly in today's society. And what are our young people being told about modesty today? Well, I've got a case study here. We have the Barbie Riviera beach doll, available for £5.99, ages 3 and up. And what it's really telling young people is that if you've got it, you've got to flaunt it, and it's perfectly okay for children, so 5 or 8 years old, to be dressed like this, and that your body is just a piece of flesh that you should just throw around. What do you think this says about sort of body parts, really, on typical woman?
Well, I've heard that if a woman actually was designed like that body part, she wouldn't be able to stand up because she wouldn't be able to hold herself up.
I think that's fairly accurate. Would you agree?
Yes. I don't think Barbies have ribs.
Well, yeah, I don't think this Barbie has ribs either. So it's making excessive demands on the woman's body to be absolutely perfect, and it's also a complete disproportion of how most normal women are as well. So the mentality that Barbie doll like that gives is that in order to get guys, you're going to have to dress as if you don't really have a wardrobe in the first place, and otherwise they're not really even going to think about you. But in the contrary, that couldn't be further from the truth. Dressing modestly is crucial to strengthening our relationship with the opposite sex. So Pope John Paul talked in his book Love and Responsibility about the experience of shame, and he says that shame attempts to conceal both good and bad things, because some things are better not in the public eye. And one of the most powerful experiences of shame is sexual shame. And according to Pope John Paul, we have this because we can be a potential object of enjoyment for members of the opposite sex, and it's a natural form of self-defense for the body to have that reaction. And we tend to veil our values, not because they're bad, but on the contrary, because they might overshadow the greater good of the person. So I'm not advocating a use of the burqa today, but modesty in dress helps to protect the relationship between the sexes and creates the possibility for authentic love to develop. And modesty helps protect women from being treated as objects of desire and being just treated as sort of eye candy for carnal gratification, to be used by men. Now, modesty seeks to inspire love, true love for the person, and not just a sexual reaction to women's body. But a culture of immodest women merely creates a bunch of uncommitted men. And a sign of a civilization in decline is one where women simply don't blush at all. Because some women are willing to give themselves to men they don't even know. So to dress modestly is to make a statement about the dignity of women, opening up the chance for loving relationships. Dressing provocatively really just makes other people use you. And our body's not supposed to just be objects, but that they can be a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God as well. So there's a great young author out there, and she's called Wendy Shaler, and she wrote the book A Return to Modesty. And in this, she says that modesty is a great weapon for rejuvenating our culture, for restoring feminine mystique. And the sexual revolution failed because it ignored female modesty, and it failed to recognize the difference between the sexes. And what did it bring us? It brought us date rape, stalking, eating disorders, harassment, dreary hookups, and the great gain of divorce. Modesty, in fact, for Wendy Shaler, is proof that morality is sexy, and it's likely to enkindle eros. And in fact, modesty might even be a proof of the existence of God, because we've been designed in such a way that when we behave like animals, we don't really have nearly as much fun. We're created with self-consciousness, a will, reason, conscience, a capacity to search for something deeper and greater, and that's to yearn for greatness. And Kierkegaard, the Danish intellectual, said the difference between love and lust is that love bears an impress of eternity. Lust is something that just drifts away after temporary pleasure. So one false notion is that modesty is just for people who are frigid, who are prudes and who are prunes, who just walk around like refrigerators and are too afraid to have any passionate relationships. But nothing could be further from the truth. Modesty is far more exciting than a promiscuous lifestyle because it restores the dignity given to femininity. And there's a Christian website called Modest is Hottest, and I wouldn't use those terms myself, but maybe they're not too far from the truth.